This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the new Full Battle Rattle Studios.
She's a 50-year-old adult bully, really is what she is, kind of a has-been comedian, and as she had stated on CNN that her New Year's resolution was to destroy my 16-year-old daughter. That takes it a little bit too far. Kathy, pick on me. Come up to Alaska and pick on me, but leave my kids alone.
Plenty of Kathy Griffin coverage coming up, and Governor Palin's take on the whole thing. Stay tuned for our coverage on the unhinged, unfunny, unemployed Griffin. Meantime, unrest all over the world, from terror in Manchester and London to threats against the president here in America. But there's also growing worry in South Africa, serious worry, genocide even. Today, we head to Johannesburg to talk to Robert Engels, a man who has seen some of the atrocities firsthand. Something a little different here this week on the Palin Update. You don't want to miss our talk with Robert Engels coming up. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines and Sarah Palin news. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California. Also from the Golden State, Kelly Carlson is on target. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert coming up from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio, available at mamagrizzlyradio.com and now available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/fullbattlerattle.abq. Today we want to bring attention to something many have no idea about: the South African government's plans for land seizure and genocide against whites. Meantime, farmers are being killed at an alarming rate, and South Africa is bracing for things to get worse. There are conservative groups, however, that are standing up and speaking out. Today, we welcome Robert Engels to the show from Johannesburg for a first-hand take on just what is going on. And we also get his opinion on America and ask him if we are, in fact, exceptional. Robert, thank you for joining us on the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You know, I'd have to do the math and think about this, but you're certainly one of the guests who's the farthest away from us, so we appreciate you joining us all the way from Johannesburg, the international edition here of the Palin Update. And
No. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, as you know, we've been chatting and talking to and supporting some folks that you've also been supporting who have been around the United States recently, most recently in Texas, and speaking to Americans really and spreading the word about what's really going on in your country. Can you tell us, first of all, I want to get a little background for people that may not know of the history of your country and why they are out here in the United States now talking to people and what they fear might happen. Could you just try to summarize that for us?
I think what they fear is what they is an imminent white genocide within South Africa. There are certain other markers which are very, very prevalent at this moment, such as the most dangerous one right now is obviously farm murders, where white farmers are killed in measures like you can't believe. It's super inflated. Whereas, for example, the murder rate in South Africa is roughly about 34 people per 100,000. However, if you take the same demographic and apply it to the farmers, they are killed at 91 to 133 per 100,000 people. So, as you can see, it is the number is super inflated. Also, the other thing which is a major concern right now is the exclusion of white people from economic participation within the Republic of South Africa due to certain legislation which is known as broad-based black economic empowerment, which basically means that a company has to employ a certain number of individuals, of which the demographic has to be 70% of them have to be black, 9% have to be Indian or colored, and between 1 and 3% has to be white people. It's led to a massive poverty shift, whereas 1 in 4 white South Africans are food insecure, and they live in places like Muntijville, which is a major squatter camp just outside of Krugersdorp, and they're surviving on roughly about $30 a month.
Wow.
Two fringe groups. One is called the Economic Freedom Fighters, led by a man by the name of Julius Malema, and the other one is Black First, Land First, led by Andile Mzimata, which they believe that all land should be redistributed from white hands to black hands without any form of compensation, and that white people should actually leave South Africa and go back to Europe or wherever they had come from.
Now, all of the unrest we see in the world right now, people are talking about terror and, many other things that are going on in London and Manchester, and obviously trying to fight these types of things in the United States and elsewhere. Why should Americans and others outside of South Africa care about this? And what are you hoping happens? I mean, are you hoping for people to just lend support or get the word out so people know what is happening to some of your citizens?
Well, the main thing is, in the bigger scope of things, because it's not the violence isn't as spectacular as, for example, mowing down 20 people with a motor vehicle on a bridge in London, or blowing up 29 people in Manchester. So it's a low scale intensity conflict which we're in. What concerns me is the level of sadism that comes with the violence. one of the most recent ones were an elderly couple from KwaZulu-Natal. They were tied up, and then they weren't just killed, they were tortured to death with blowtorches and power drills, and were then dragged behind a vehicle. So, as we can see, this isn't just a crime of passion or it's a robbery gone wrong. There's actually been a thought process in how these people had been murdered. And the level of perversity with this is absolutely astronomical. What we hope to do is, and since we're economically excluded from the South African economy right now, what we need is just to get the word out, make people aware of what's happening, and if possible, get into a position where economic asylum can be granted to certain individuals within South Africa, or from South Africa to other countries.
What's the pulse of the people there? I mean, do they see this happening, or are there people that don't realize it or aren't able to fight it? And how have you seen things change? I mean, you're a lifelong resident, right? So how have you seen things go over the course of the last couple decades?
Well, first of all, I've seen major impoverishment happen. I've seen people that were fairly successful all of a sudden living in squatter camps. The suicide rate is absolutely through the roof. We've got children as young as 13 years old committing suicide because they don't know what the future holds and they don't have the money to leave the country. But the whole atmosphere is just of hopelessness. It's despair.
Wow.
We also deal with situations where, so I could live in Johannesburg because we're at rock face all the time, because we see it happening. So we're very pessimistic. Now, if you go down to a place like Cape Town or Durban, which is a much larger white population and it's a much wealthier population down there, they seem much more hopeful. It's like they're almost living on another continent or another country which is separate from South Africa. It's all high net worth individuals, and they seem more hopeful than we do up here in Gauteng or in Joburg and in Pretoria.
And what about you and your inner circle personally, your family, your friends? I mean, how have you been affected here, or are you just more someone who's shining a light on it and a catalyst for hoping to have some changes?
Well, I was affected recently, and this comes back to a thing which is called state capture here. I was working for a Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed company, which was shut down due to certain external influences, corrupt influences with the president and certain individuals that came from India. And I lost my job, and I had to open my own little business, which is still struggling, because we've been downgraded to junk status. So our currency is absolutely worth nothing. And to actually get people to convince people that they actually need your service has become quite rough. And we're seeing more and more businesses close down and people going onto welfare. Now, welfare, unfortunately, isn't a big thing. An individual, if you do qualify for welfare, you're getting about $100 a month.
Are you?
And from our inner circle, my parents are also there. They're living on welfare.
Wow, and that was not the case. This is recent.
The major shift happened in the last 5 years.
Okay.
After the second re-election of the current president and his alleged corrupt relationships with the Gupta family from India.
What do you and those that are like-minded on your side here think of what's happening in the United States right now, President Trump, and everything that we have been experiencing, all the changes here? Because obviously, lots of things happening in the world right now. Some good, some bad, some awful. But from afar, here you are in Johannesburg. What's because we know what people think here, although our media, as I don't know if you know or not, but a lot of it is very dishonest and very slanted. What have you seen of the U.S. from your country?
From my perspective, is I do not simply trust one news source. It's you have to gather from various other news sources and see where they align on certain issues, and that's when you have the common cause to know, okay, this is true and this might not be true. However, having said that, there is a lot of fake news in the U.S. and the media is completely biased. From what we can see from our side is that things in the U.S. have actually gotten better in terms of certain industries that have moved back to the U.S. There's more job creation, and the dollar has actually strengthened against the rand. Where it used to be roughly about 10 rand to a dollar, it suddenly strengthened to 12 or 13, between 12 to 14 rand a dollar. There's a lot of political unrest in your country, yes, but from where we're standing, it's really not that bad.
Right.
And unfortunately, because we're used to the level of violence here.
Yeah, that is Robert. That is very well said, and I've talked to people lately from all different types of countries, whether it be Cambodia, whether it be Israel, all over the world, and the same thing. I mean, it's almost commonplace, this stuff, and yet we have Americans here, and some of them, unfortunately, are in pretty high positions, who really they just don't get it, and they take for granted what a country this really is and the liberties and freedoms that we do have, even though a lot of them were in jeopardy for the last 8 years.
Which is true. I mean, if I had the opportunity to go to the U.S., I would definitely make a success of it, because your industries are largely unregulated. Your industries are largely open to public participation. Your tax schedules are much lower than we have. The cost of living is much lower than we have. Your cost of housing is much lower than we have. Obviously, without excluding places like San Francisco or New York or Miami and Florida. Overall, the cost of living in the U.S. is much, much lower. Your cost of gasoline is much lower. The cost of vehicles are much lower. Yes, your medical insurance is much higher, but the level of medical insurance that you get and the quality of care that you get is unparalleled. So I do find it quite offensive that people are saying, yes, but America is not the greatest country in the world. Because it is. It is the greatest country in the world. It is the last bastion of capitalism. It's the last bastion of free speech. It is, America is standing at the Rubicon, and like Julius Caesar had said, the die is cast. Either America crosses the Rubicon now, or stay where it is and become just another socialist country, because America is the last bastion of the free Western world.
Well, Robert, that's very well said, and we couldn't agree more. And, you couldn't be president because you weren't born here, but we could use a guy like you in Congress, I'll tell you that.
Well, if I could just get part of the economic participation, I think I'll make a major success of it.
There you go. How can people find out more? Do you have websites that you recommend or places to go to see what's happening in South Africa? And also, what could people do from afar?
I think at this moment it's just, spread the word as much as possible. Get the word out to the media, get out to your local congressman, petition government, just to spread awareness of what is going on. And keep in mind that I'm not taking just a pro-white stance, I'm taking a pro-South African stance here, because, everybody's suffering because of what's happening right now, and the fact that our government is completely irresponsible. It's completely corrupt. Just to just get the word out. I'll send you some links via email of reliable news sources here, and what I'm basing everything I'm saying on. And that's basically all we can do right now.
And we will post those on our website and on Mama Grizzly Radio. Robert, we thank you so much for taking the time, and the best to you, and I hope your business picks up, and the best to your parents. And we will call on you again if we see things happening. We really appreciate it. You were great.
No, that's fantastic. You're more than welcome.
Very happy to hear from Robert Engels in Johannesburg. For more on what's happening in South Africa, visit mamagrizzlyradio.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin news, headlines, and more about Governor Palin. Governor Palin fires on all cylinders at Kathy Griffin. Palin has firsthand dealings with the lunacy of Griffin. The governor exposes her crocodile tears and erratic behavior. Palin also shows America how Griffin has targeted children before. Palin wrote on Facebook, "No one should be shocked at the sick audacity of sick characters. Kathy is a hurting individual. She needs help. Can you imagine if the subject of such an outrageous visual was a liberal? Obviously, media would be unhinged and uncontained in response." Palin added, Kathy Griffin said, quote, "I never wanted to hurt anyone, much less a child," unquote. Don't believe her crocodile tears. Look at the facts. A history of hypocrisy and sick audacity. Trust me, our family knows firsthand. She's even brought her hurtful humor in quotes, literally to our doorstep. Example after example showing what kind of person Griffin truly is. Palin thanks those riding in rolling thunder. Palin remembers our fallen American heroes. Fake news strikes again, this time involving a big sports star. A creepy, sick person that picks on kids, but is not Kathy Griffin. Who is Ken Jennings? Still time to get your Suck It Up Cupcake shirt. Bill Maher goes too far. Palin on the London terror hit. And a big thanks to Governor Palin for highlighting my article on dog killer Mike Vick. You can read two pieces I wrote on the former quarterback, one at Breitbart and another at sarahpalin.com. To read about all of these stories, visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. And to see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, and to read her devotionals, you can visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at sarahpalinUSA, and don't miss the new sarahpalin.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. So, living in California and butting up against a lot of discourse, obviously, around the Paris Climate Agreement and the travel ban that's coming up and the different policies that are being put in place that are confronting differences of opinion, and to keep the society that we have intact, where the line is being drawn. And it seems to me that by the time we get to 2018, that line is going to be very clear. And which side of that line you're on is going to be very clear. And I wanted to look at the word convoluted, because hearing all the news channels, the mainstream media, and friends of mine that are leftists and progressives, when conversations are brought up, or obviously when news reports are made, what I noticed this week was the convoluted speech. And the only way you really have convoluted speech is when the thoughts are convoluted. And I want to take a look at the definition. Extremely complex and difficult to follow, especially of an argument, story, or sentence. Technically, convoluted means intricately folded, twisted, or coiled. I want to delve a little deeper into that word twisted. Forced out of its natural or proper shape, crumbled. Of a personality or a way of thinking, which is kind of what we're looking at right now, unpleasantly or unhealthily abnormal, warped. I remember I went to UCLA as a 19-year-old who worked since I was 5. So I was in the real world for a real long time, having real problems and dealing with the pressures of life that come our way, whether it's showing up for something, whether I feel like it or not, building my muscle of common sense and being able to use my mind in a productive way. Needless to say, when I stepped into the first few courses at UCLA and hearing these professors, thinking to myself, these people are crazy. I remember having the thought crazy, but now I understand what I was thinking. It was the convoluted talk. It was the twisting and the turning, and nothing added up, and they were all over the place with their thoughts and with their conclusions. And this is the way that they actually manipulate and brainwash young minds. Convoluted talk, convoluted thoughts are ways in which the mainstream media, the professors at these campuses, the elites within the politics of our governments try to weaken our capacity to think and therefore tire us out, and then they can pump us and feed us the information and the propaganda that they want us to eventually believe. This twisted, convoluted way of communicating is being used so that they can push their agenda forward. I really wanted to, this week, shed a light on something that is being used on our society through the news, our children through the schools, and I'm fed up. I'm disgusted, and I really want to highlight this because it's something that, as long as we know that it's happening, we can do something about it. Till next week, this is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week. Now, on target with Kelly Carlson.
Thanks, Kevin. So, I am a lead on this app called Neighbors. I don't know if anybody uses it. It's an awesome app. And I started one for my neighborhood, so I'm the lead on it. And it's really a cool app. But I'm gonna complain. I need to vent for a second. So, someone posted, bombings was the title. Now, I live near a naval weapons station, and we hear, I may not use the right terminology because Dan's not here, but we hear like artillery and what sounds like bombings a lot. And it's subtle, and it's actually kind of fun. It'll rattle your house a little bit. And then at night you see, the rockets go up in the sky. And we live in a really cool area. And I thought, I've always believed, and I think it's true, but most people here are somewhat conservative. Well, God forbid some cloud cover comes and intensifies the sound of, I'm just going to call it artillery. Oh my gosh. On this app, 90 comments. Can you believe it? I'm going to call the base and complain. Oh, good luck trying to sell your house. One person said, if I have to hear the sound of freedom one more time, because people were also posting like, oh, we love it. It's the sound of freedom, and let's support our troops and stuff like that. You can't believe the infantile, whiny, bratty libs that chimed in with this disdain. And it was like, my property value went down. Or, I mean, no one said that directly, but they were talking about trying to resell real estate. And the base I live near is well over 80 years old. Well over. And it's like, but you moved here. And one of the things when you do move here, people always mention that you're going to hear this occasionally. Well, when the cloud cover came, it rattled the house and the windows like you can't believe. And the posting itself, the very first posting was this. A girl posted saying, "I have terrible anxiety right now. I feel like I'm at war." And I'm like, oh my God, really? And then people just started flooding it. Yeah, oh my God, I have anxiety too. It is really a horror show. I mean, you can't believe, like, grown men were saying that. And it's kind of exciting. Like, it's fun, and I like watching it. And we get the cobras overhead, and it's very calming. Like, this is not chaotic at all. And it's very sporadic. It's not even that common. You'll just hear it occasionally, but this cloud cover came, and it was startling, but like exciting startling. But the libs around here were just on fire. I mean, they would call the base and complain, well, what are the times you're going to do it? And you need to alert us. And my dogs have anxiety. And it's like, oh my God. So I had to chime in as the lead. I couldn't take it anymore. I just couldn't. And then it started to get real political, which is why I stepped in. I can't remember what this guy said, but I had to kind of shut him down because he was getting offensive because we have a lot of military families. Oh yeah, he was the one saying, if I have to hear you guys call it Sound of Freedom one more time, I'm going to be sick. And I just thought, all right. So I kind of shut him down. And then the rest of the neighborhood chimed in support, which was great. But I couldn't believe the nerve of people. I mean, these are just our military practicing, and people were just throwing daggers at them. But they moved here. I don't get it. It's so bizarre. They were just... I was so disgusted with what they were saying. And, you know, you would not move here if you weren't in support of the military because it's around you. A little bit at a distance, but it's a very patriotic town. And, oh, you can't believe people were getting it was so disgusting. I was so upset about it, as you can hear, because now I'm ranting and raving. I'm not raving, but I'm ranting, and I'm going on and on. Anyways, but I love the app, and I think it is a really, really great tool to get to know your neighbors, and then to build a network. I'm shifting gears now. And so anyways, yeah, because there's like lost dogs and cats, and then like, you know, people need a contractor. Like, it's a really, really cool app. I love it. So I encourage you to use it. I just came across these like ultra libs, and it was just horror. It was a horror show. It really, truly was. I feel better, Kevin. I've vented. Okay, till next time. This is Kelly Carlson for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in for more On Target next week. Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
Thank you, President Trump, for getting America out of the Paris Climate Accord, a.k.a. treaty that was not passed through the Senate. In a bold and ballsy move, President Trump told the globalist ruling elite to stick that Paris Agreement where the sun doesn't shine. The world's regressivist attempts to control the USA and stifle our economic growth and development fell right on the faces of the flat earthers as President Trump pulled America out of this bad climate agreement. In this move, it has left climate worshipers pulling their hair out, literally, and represents a reassertion of American sovereignty. And that's according to President Trump. The treaty puts the U.S. at a very big economic disadvantage against everyone else. The president said, quote, the agreement was a massive redistribution of wealth to other countries from America. The same nations asking us to stay in the agreement cost the U.S. trillions of dollars and lacks contributions to our military alliances. We don't want other leaders in other countries laughing at us anymore. I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris, end quote. The real foundation that European elites had hoped to gain through the Paris Climate Accord was to advance a multilateral global governance that was a massive unconstitutional power grab initiated by President Obama. He was trying to steal both your national and individual sovereignty, basically handing it over on a silver platter to international institutions. Effectively, the Paris Agreement would have neutered the U.S. on a variety of economic issues, including us being able to tap into our massive energy reserves. Oh, how I love that divinely created black gold that God blessed America with in abundance. Millions of Americans collectively cheered President Trump's move to get us out of this globalist boondoggle and false science that only punishes America and no one else. Even Senator Rand Paul said that at least 6 million American jobs were at risk if America did not get out of this desperate deal that Obama dreamed of to make himself relevant to the world's ruling elites. Just to be clear, the world's two biggest polluters, India and China, don't even begin reducing their carbon emissions until 2030. And I just have to say, does anyone know what carbon emissions really are? I mean, it drives me crazy. Even Ambassador John Bolton was cracking up, saying the Europeans have math rigged in their favor. They were loving this agreement. Laughing at America all the way. So again, I want to reiterate why this is important. What the Paris Climate Agreement really was all about. Number one, it was bad for America. We would have lost millions of jobs and paid out $3 trillion in lost GDP. Every American household income would have gone down $7,000 over the next few years. Again, number two, unfair. The Paris Accord would only punish the U.S., but does nothing about the world's real polluters like India and China. Number three, it was a massive redistribution scheme by the world's ruling elite to take away the U.S. wealth and distribute it to other countries. Notice how they weren't taking their money and giving it away. And number four, it was just completely ineffective because it is built around false science. Even the boobs who wrote it believe it will maybe, if implemented in full, produce a 0.2 degrees Celsius reduction in global temperatures. And first of all, does anyone who is a believer in the creation story and that our world was created by God think that we as humans can have any impact on changing climate temperatures, hot, cold, or otherwise? I don't. It's all a joke. God is the creator. He set this world in motion. There is nothing random. It is all planned and purposeful. And I am humble enough to believe that me being on this earth cannot change the global cooling or heating one iota. I just think it's great. Trump's decision to pull the U.S. from the Paris Agreement was more than wise. And as the heads of these anti-American Holly weirdos and other globalists were exploding at the news, Americans like you and me were checking off another box that Trump got to do this week from his to-do list. Speaking of Holly weirdos, I just thought it was amusing watching the Twitter sphere explode with this celebrity outrage. And poor Bob Iger, the president of Disney, was so distraught that he resigned from President Trump's advisory board and then promptly jumped on his private jet to return back to Los Angeles. Oh, the horror in their hypocrisy. Don't even get me started on Elon Musk, who's just nothing more than a publicity hound and someone else, entrepreneur trying to grab what he can from the American taxpayer. Trust me, he's going to come groveling back to President Trump when his failing Tesla needs another cash infusion from the taxpayers. Mr. Trump, please, it is time to cut the spigot off for Mr. Elon Musk. Let the people decide in the free market if they want to pay 6 figures for an electric car. Personally, I prefer 400 horses and an American SUV. But that's me. Thank you, President Trump, for Covfefe. We all need to Covfefe against the progressive machine. They are starting to crumble, and this is going to be more fun to watch than any television reality show. And for those of you, Covfefe, again, Trump gets the last laugh. It is a word that translated means I will stand. And all these fake media wannabe journalists thought that Trump had made an error, tweeting at 12:03 a.m. this week, laughing at him. And you know what? President Trump got the last laugh. Kofeve, I will stand. I will stand on this day against progressivism in any form. It is time for us to elevate the free market, do a once and for all beatdown of anti-American globalists and Holly weirdos. What do you think? Tweet me this week at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. Until then, I think I'm going to go out today and drive my black SUV with the AC on and the windows down, just for giggles. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio. Have a blessed week.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, On Target, and The Crow's Nest, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to breitbart.com/columnists/Kevin-Scholla. I'm also contributing to sarahpalin.com. Please check out my latest piece this week on Mike Vick. You can visit sarahpalin.com/author/Kevin-Scholla. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tanya Crow, Kelly Carlson, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Robert Engels, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit facebook.com/FullBattleRattleABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant Kofifi day.